Hello, I wanted to take just a moment and talk about something that's a little unique. And this is something that occurs every once in a while, but it will occur in this next school year. So, the 2021 school year, we're going to have 27 pay periods. I want to spend a minute just kind of go through why we have it and what that actually means to you. So, I'll try to keep this short, but I want to make it so that hopefully this will give you a little bit better feel for why it even occurs. Okay, so number one, what is the payroll creep is what it's called. And essentially it's based on our calendar, right? We get paid every 2 weeks. So every 14 days, we're going to receive a paycheck. Well, if the year had 364 days, that would work out to be perfect 26 pay periods every single year. We wouldn't have this issue of the payroll creep. But indeed, we have more than 364 days. We actually have 365 and a quarter days every year. So what that basically means is every year we have an extra day that we add on, plus then a leap year, we get 2 extra days there. So what that basically means is this payroll creep that we're going to experience this next school year happens about every 7 years, okay? It's not exact, just depending on what day you get paid and, with leap year thrown in there, but it's about every 7 years that this happens. And what this basically means is instead of having our traditional 26 pay periods over the entire year, we're now going to have 27 pay periods. Good news, and at least to be aware of it, right? I wouldn't necessarily call it bad news, but you just need to be aware of it. Okay, so what does this really mean? What does it mean for you, the teacher or faculty member or staff member? Okay, let's run through a couple scenarios, can we? All right, so number one is, let's say that your pay is $52,000 a year. And I picked this pay because it divides very, very evenly into 26 is why I picked this pay. Okay, so if you make $52,000 a year, and that was this year, right? And we normally would divide that over 26 pay periods. So 52,000 divided by 26 pay periods would yield us $2,000 a pay period. Nice even number. That's why I chose 52,000. Okay, so you receive $2,000 per pay period. Great. What does this mean for next year? Well, so we've talked about next year getting a 5% raise, and that looks like it's still going to be the case. So let's say that you are making $52,000 a year. This year, you get a 5% raise, which is always good news. Anytime you get a raise, it's good news. So now you've transferred it. Instead of receiving $52,000 for the entire year, you're now going to receive $54,600, which is great news, right? You're going to be making more money, 5% more than you did this year. Now, here's the only catch that you need to be aware of. We're going to take this $54,600, and instead of dividing it up over 26 pay periods like we would normally do, we're going to divide it up between 27 pay periods. Okay, and as we divide it up between 27 pay periods, that means it's going to be a little bit less per pay period than it would if we had 26 pay periods. So it would yield a net of $2,022 per pay period. Now, this is going to feel like a little bit like, well, it's not much of a raise. If I went from $2,000 per pay period to $2,022, it's only $22 per pay period. Well, it may feel like that. Let's just remember that we're still receiving a 5% pay increase. So instead of receiving the $52,000, we did get a 5% raise. So we're over the entire year, we're still receiving 5% more than we did this year, which is always good news. Okay, so let's look at another scenario here. If I were making $65,000 a year, and I chose $65,000 because it divides into 26 evenly. So I want to keep those nice and even. It helps just to kind of illustrate what the difference in pay between this year and next year will be per pay period. Okay, so if I make $65,000 this year and I have 26 pay periods, that means I'm receiving a nice even number of $2,500 per pay period. This is obviously gross amount. Okay, so I receive a 5% increase in my pay. That means I'm being paid $68,250 now. So I'm still receiving that 5%, but now I'm dividing that over 27 pay periods instead of 26. And as I divided over more pay periods, that's going to reduce the amount per pay period, right? Okay, so my net on that one, or at least my gross pay on that one, would be $25.28. So in this scenario, I'm receiving $28 more per pay period. Although I am still receiving more, right? I went from $65,000 to $68,250. So I'm still receiving my 5% increase. The only difference is I have more pay periods throughout the year that I'm going to be receiving a paycheck. So let's talk about that just for a second. In a typical year, we have 2 months that we actually receive 3 pay periods. This year, let's see, I believe it was August and January that we received 3 pay periods, those 2 months. So next school year, okay, from July to June, July 2020 to June 2021, we will actually have 3 months that we will receive 3 paychecks. So let's look at those. In July of this year, we will receive 3 paychecks. In December of this year, we will receive 3 paychecks. And then in June of 2021, we will receive 3 paychecks. So that's kind of nice. I mean, you get an extra paycheck in those months. Those months always seem to be a little bit better. If you're like me, you do most of your budgeting based on 2 pay periods per month. So that extra month or that extra pay period in those months helps out just a little bit. But that's what it is. So you're going to have 27 pay periods this next year. 3 months, you will receive 3 pay periods, which is good news. But in doing so, that's going to reduce the amount that you'll get paid overall per paycheck, okay? All right, so anyway, hopefully that helps clarify a little bit. If you have any other questions, please let us know. Our goal is just to try to be as transparent as we can and be able to help you understand your pay as much as we possibly can.